Welcome to the Easter workshop. So today we are going to be painting this little bunny with sunflowers. And we are going to be painting in a sketchbook, as you can see, so you can just use regular paper. And we're going to be using acrylics. Now, I have a lot of different shades of acrylics that you might not have at home. And that's quite all right, because you can use the primary colors. And before we get started in painting the bunny, I wanted to show you how to mix some shades so that you have them available for when we're painting this. So these are the colors that I recommend everyone to have when they start out painting. That is a red, a blue, a yellow, and an ochre, a black and white. So in order to make an orange, we know that it's red with yellow. And depending on what tonality of yellow you want, you can go for a very yellow orange like this, or a very reddish orange like this. Also, you can always make things more pastel with white, as you can see here, a nice pastel orange, or you can even make a brown with some black. It's a very dark brown, and depending on what type of orange you start out with, it could be a very red or a very yellowy brown. You can also, as you know, make green with blue and yellow, depending on the amount of yellow, just like with the orange. You can have a very bluish green like you see here, or if you add more yellow, a more vibrant green, very yellow green. And you can play with variations there. Also, the same thing goes with adding white to your green, creating a very pastel green. Or with adding black, but black goes a long way, so it's always best to just add a little bit. You can also add ochre to mute the colors a bit, and it creates a different tonality to reds, to orange, to yellow. You can also make a turquoise, or I'm sorry, a purple with red and blue. Depending on what type of red and what type of blues you have, you'll get different tonalities of purple. This creates more like an aubergine. As you can see, I can add ochre to it to tone it down a bit. I can also make more of an indigo color by adding 2/3 blue to 1/3 red. And it creates this beautiful indigo, as you can see, which I personally love to use to create shadows. Now, you can make a turquoise by doing blue with the green. So first you would need to make a vibrant green. And to that add blue. There you have a nice dark turquoise. It really depends on the blue that you're using. You can also add white. And it creates more like a slate color. Now let's say you don't have black. You can use the 3 primary colors to make black. Now this is a lot of playing around. Here, as you can see, it's a very red. Now it's more yellow. So you need to just play around. Until you find the right combination. I would recommend just dabbing little bits of color into the mix until it gets closer. To what you are looking for. I would say maybe a little bit of red. I personally do not use a lot of black in my work. So having this type of color, or even this color, is definitely what I prefer to work with. Now, once you have this like nice dark gray color, you can add white to create a very standard gray. And grays, it's really nice to play around with grays, because with this you could then add a little bit of red and it warms it up, a little bit of blue and it turns it more blue, even a little bit of yellow and it turns it more of a yellow-gray. So as you see, we did all of this with primary colors, and you can create a vast majority of different tones and shades. So do not feel limited with only having just a few acrylic paints at home. Okay, so now that we've gone over color mixing, grab your sketchbook, your supplies, and we can get started. Just one more note before we start painting. Just remember that this is a guided workshop. Your end piece probably won't look like mine because we each have our own and unique way of creating lines and marks. So please do not feel discouraged at any moment of this workshop. The whole point of it is to have fun and to let go with some paints. The end goal should not be to strive for perfection, but just to have fun. So let's sit down and get started. So here I have a palette. It is paper palette in just a tin. There's nothing else in here. You can put a rag with some water to keep it nice and wet. I didn't have one, so that's what we will be using. And I am using my Royal Talons sketchbook where I have done other painting lessons in. I absolutely love using this sketchbook for everything. I mean, I've used acrylics, gouache, watercolors, pencils, neocolors, inks. I just absolutely love it. And I personally really enjoy that it's an off-white color. It's just a personal favorite of mine. So before I'm going to get started, I'm going to look for my reference picture that I have here. I will be posting the reference picture for the bunny. You'll see it on part of the screen. You will be seeing it right here on this side of the screen. And then on the other side, you will be seeing my sketchbook. So before I get started, I like to do just some paint on the page. And in this picture, as you can see, there's a lot of dark tones. There is a lot of greens. There are also some reds. So I'm going to be doing that. So I'm going to be using carmine red. Carmine red. I'll be using some of that. I'm also going to be using some indigo, which I absolutely love. I'm also going to be using a brilliant violet. And I will also be using some turquoise. I love the turquoise and some orange. It creates a beautiful green. I'm also going to be using some burnt sienna. And let me find the ombres. Or the ochre. Here's the ochre. I'm also going to be using white and black, but just a little bit. Here's my black, and here's my white. And I absolutely love adding some neon pink into the mix. I'm also going to be using yellow. Now don't worry, I have all these colors. However, you can just go with a carmine red, a blue, which I have right here. This is an oriental blue, a blue, an ochre, white, black, yellow, and that's all you need, really. And you can make all of these colors. So I'm going to start out with grabbing the first initial colors just to do the background. I'm going to grab some carmine. I'm going to grab some purple. And I'm going to do a very watered background. So here I'm using Schminke acrylics, but I also have Sennelier. This is also Schminke. Grab some of the black. I never really like to use just pure black. I only use pure black for like outlines, little details, but I almost never use black. Never really. If I can get away with not using it, I won't. White, on the other hand, I do use quite a lot. Great. Okay, so this is just for the background. So we can either do let's just do a small one on this page. So I'm going to grab a brush. Let me see, which brush do I want to use? Sometimes I like to use this brush. It creates really nice textures. I think I'll use that one. Might also, but I absolutely love using my filbert brush. So these cheap brushes that you can get, that the hairs start getting all loose, they create the best textures. Absolutely the best. Let's see. And I also love using a palette knife. First for mixing and then just putting it on the page. That's what I'll be using for the background. So now let me just grab some water. And I'm going to start creating. I like how it's not completely mixed, so you get all these different tonalities. And this really nice aubergine, plum, eggplant, reddish color. You can also smear with your hands and you get that really nice texture. You can add some water to your fingertips to really get a nice smear. We're going to be doing a lot of smearing. I absolutely love to use my fingers to create textures and backgrounds, and I like it to be messy. I'm going to clean my palette knife. I'm going to let that dry for a second. Now I'm going to be adding some of the turquoise with the indigo, because I see quite a lot of turquoise. That's nice. Add some water. It's always nice to start with a dark background. It's the easiest way to build shadow. And the nice thing with acrylics is that you can pretty much remove anything by just painting over it. So now we need some yellow to create a green. I prefer to mix my own greens. I mean, I personally love, let me see if I have it somewhere. This deep green, it's a gouache. I personally absolutely love. But I want to mainly stay with acrylics today. So I'll be creating greens with the indigo and with the turquoise. Let me get this filbert. And I'll grab some of the turquoise. Do it right there. Grab some of the yellow. That creates a nice, vibrant green. If I want to make it more of a neutral color, I can grab the burnt sienna or the ochre to tone it down a bit so it becomes more muted. And creates a really beautiful green. That's a bit too bright, so I'm going to add more of the indigo. Actually, I think that was the black. Either way, black also creates beautiful deep greens, which you can see right there. I'm just going to add some of that. Add it to the rest. It's a nice base. And then on top, we can build some really nice variations of green. I'm going to add some purple. A bit more yellow. Some indigo. Create splotches of it. Grab my hand and smear it in. Really nice. I'm going to create some spikes up here. Just brushing very slightly to create some motion. There. All right, so we're going to let that dry a little bit and then come back and continue. Okay, so it's dry enough. I'm going to just be grabbing, you could grab the white, which I have plenty of there, so I'll do that. Or if you look at the bunny, you can really get an idea that there's this depth to it. It's not completely white. I think I'll do some carmine instead. Let's use this one. I'm using a 6 round brush. This is a synthetic Da Vinci brush. So I'm going to add water to the carmine. And I'm going to create the shape of the bunny. I'm not even going to do the outline. I'm just going to look at the reference picture. I'm going to grab it kind of loosely from the end of the paintbrush. And I'm just going to create the shape of the bunny. Think of it as shapes. So there's like a dome, and then it comes up like this. It doesn't really matter if you create it to the right dimensions. We just want to put some color down. I'm going to add a bit of white to it so it can really stand out. Carmine makes a really pretty pink. Okay. Then we have the legs right here. The bum area is a bit bigger. Then we've got the ears. Okay, so that's the outline. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to play a bit more with the background. So I'm going to grab more. I think I'm going to grab some orange. If you don't have orange, you can obviously make some. But since I already have orange, I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to grab some of the turquoise and some orange. Makes this beautiful color. Really nice greenish gray. Absolutely love it. You get this beautiful, beautiful gray. I just want to add a little bit, but it's a bit too bright, so I'm going to add more turquoise. Grab some of that green that we already had. I'm just going to start smearing these grays. And I'm going to grab some of the turquoise that we still have. No, not the turquoise, the indigo. Add some of that in there. Especially here. Add a bit. And I really like the dry brush strokes. Add that. I'm going to grab some of this with the orange. I'm going to add some of that here. Because I don't want the background to be completely flat. Now I'm going to add just some regular green. Grab the indigo. maybe some purple. Just going to create splotches of this green, doing more of it up front. There's so many different tonalities of green. We're going to be playing around with different brushes and I'm going to grab some Oriental blue to create a different type of green. And I don't want it to be too bright yet. And I'll add some of this in here, smudge it around. I don't want it to be too bright next to the bunny, just around it. Looks good. So we're not doing any of the detail work yet. This is all just creating depth and marks and interesting strokes to the background to make it more interesting, more intriguing. I'm also going to grab some of the ochre. Grab a little bit of black. You don't really need a lot of black. I'm also going to I like to work fast when I'm painting. If I start taking my time, I notice the difference in how I start painting, and I don't like that. I don't like it. I prefer to work fast. Now, if you draw up your paintbrush just like me, you can always just tap it off. Get some water, get a nice wet rag, and you can get rid of it. I'm going to grab that neon pink. I like to mix it in with the color sometimes, or just use it as it is. It's a lot of fun. I think I'm going to mix it here. Just create little interesting splotches every now and then. See, I need to let that dry. And then we'll continue. Okay. So now I'm going to start playing more with the colors of the bunny. So I see some yellows, I see a lot of orange, I see some turquoise. Grab more turquoise. I love using turquoise, orange. I love it. And Liquitex has this titanium, unbleached titanium. I love this color. It's like a cream. It's a warm, creamy color. And I wanted to also use this brush to create some really nice texture. So I'm going to grab a lighter green. So I'm going to add more. Ah, that's good. And I'm just going to create some. This is why I absolutely love these really dingy old brushes. They create the nicest textures. So I might paint over it, I might leave it, we'll see. And see, this here I didn't really want, so I remove it. It's a bit too bright. I didn't want it to be too bright. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's one of these very hard, bristly brushes. This is just, it was from school, like one of those children's school art paintbrushes with really hard bristles. That's the one. Okay, so now let's get back to the bunny. I'm going to grab a smaller filbert. This is also a cheap one. Wet it a little bit, and I'm going to add I'm going to look at the picture. I zoomed in quite a bit. And I'm grabbing some turquoise, watered down turquoise, and I'm just looking at where I see these darker colors. So here I see a little bit. Here I see some. Mind you, this is going to be covered up later, but it creates this really nice depth to it. Like I see it in the ear, at the tips of the ear. And the paint here, since I put it on quite thick, is still kind of wet. So I'm able to smear it around and just create this. You can already see it kind of pulling up and back, creating a better definition of form, you could say. I see that this needs to be bigger. And I'm going to grab some of the neon pink because why not? That adds in some areas. Just a little bit. Only because I think it's fun. I'm going to grab some orange. I'm going to add orange. See some orange here in the background as well, so I'll be adding some orange to this area. Up here as well. But it's very watered down. Very watered down. Okay. Now I'm going to let that dry a bit more. So while that dries, I can work on the background still. So the upper part here is completely out of focus as this part right here. So I'm not going to be adding a lot of detail to this area because the main focus is in this area right here of the image that I'm looking at and the painting. This is where I want the focus to be. So I'm going to be adding some small sunflowers here, or really yellow flowers. So I'm going to add the brown middle areas. So I'm just using this like aubergine red with the ochre to create a brown. Still using the filbert. Could be adding just small little areas. I'm actually going to be changing my brush. Use the 6 again. Yeah. Still a bit wet. Some here on this side. Grab a little bit of black to make it a bit darker. Okay, I'm going to grab some of this gray, add it with green, just creating different, and some white. I'm gonna grab a lot of white, more water, just put some here. Smearing. That looks nice. Here, I'll do the same. So pretty much everything that I do up here, I'm going to do down here because it's in the same focal length. Very blurred. Yeah. And the closer I get to the rabbit, the more in focus it is. I might add just a little bit of yellow. Just tapping it now. Just tap. That's good. You can see my fingers are nice and dirty. Okay, it's looking good. The rabbit is still a bit wet, so I still need to wait a bit. So I can continue with the flowers. So for that, I'm going to grab a smaller brush. Just trying to see which brushes I have. This one I really like. This is also it's a junior. See, this is a cheaper brush, but I really like it. It creates nice shapes. It is a round 4. So I'm going to create the yellow for the sunflowers with some of the ochre. My yellow's already dirty with the purple. You have to grab more yellow. The yellow that I'm using is a cadmium yellow, middle, it's called. I really like this yellow. I'm mixing it with the ochre. I'm just going to create petals, no signs to it. I'm not looking at any reference pictures. I'm just putting some petals down. It's nice if the middle is still a bit wet, so you pull some of the brown in there. Yeah. Just gonna add some more detail here, because in this area there is more detail. So I'm doing some grass stems, some lines in this area, going upwards to create the same type of motion. I'm going close to the bunny, but not extremely close. And just in this region, I'm adding some of these strokes. Now I'll add more blue. A little bit of turquoise. Some water. I just think adding turquoise creates just this beautiful green. Absolutely love it. And here I'm just going to create little specks of green. It's just nice to play around with different shapes. It's all just about having fun. Different art can mean different things, and this piece should just be a release, a moment of peace. The only thing that matters is the sensation of putting paint down on a page, nothing more. There's so much meaning to just enjoying the moment and being present. And there's a different sensation to painting digitally versus painting with paint, because you get to actually satisfy that tactile sensation. Also visually it's different. Now I'll add a bit of white to create a nice pastel green. This has to be one of my favorite greens. Ah, so pretty. I'm going to create some leaves with this, but just a couple. So I press down and I create leaves like this. Just randomly. I put down my brush and then I kind of swish it. Also calls for more of a yellow green. I'm going to do very thin strokes. But I'm like almost not touching the page. I'm only doing a couple because it kind of looks the same. But I was also thinking of just doing like little shapes. squigglies, you could say. Here you could also do a couple, like little leaves. And some ochre as well. Very small, probably have to change brushes for that. Yeah, well, I can do some of these. And that looks good. Let's do some smears here, the ochre. That's pretty. Okay, let's see. The bunny is dry. So I'll grab my filbert and I'm going to add this unbleached titanium with some water, covering my brush nicely. I'm going to zoom in to look at the bunny again. Now I'm paying more attention to outlining certain areas that have highlights. With the filbert you can get the nice lines. So it's still a tad bit wet, but you can see already the bunny appearing. I don't mind that the pink is mixing in. I'm a big fan of the pink. And I'm trying to look at what direction the hair is going and trying to create the same brush strokes to go with the hair motion. Now I'm going to add a bit of orange to that chrome. No, it's not chrome. It is titanium, unbleached titanium. Create such a beautiful color. I love that color. I would recommend, if you do enjoy painting with me here with the acrylics, to invest in some nice, you could just get the primary colors, but some nice acrylic paints. Liquitex is quite good. They're heavy bodies, quite good. This is a heavy body, the unbleached, unbleached titanium. Otherwise, I personally really like Sennelier. They have some, they're one of the best. I actually went to their original store in Paris. It's this very small, quaint shop. And every nook and cranny is just filled with paints. It's a dream come true. I also have, the Schminker, okay. Once these are done, I'm not going to buy them again. Not because I don't like them, but because I found some that I prefer. I'm going to add purple to the base of the paws. And what I do is I keep on looking back at the reference picture to see where I should add. Again, a little bit here for the nose. And for the eye. This brush is a bit too large, so I'm going to switch to this one. I really, really love this for. I'm going to grab more purple with less water this time. And I'm going to create more of an outline for the paw. And there's a triangle of purple here, and it comes out for this paw. That's not completely correct. Well, I have to add more of the unbleached. And there's a little bit of purple here. The shadows, I'm adding purple too. Again, all this can be covered later. Let's grab more of that unbleached titanium to add to that paw. Just tapping it to create less of such a straight edge. Adding some on top of the eye. On the bottom as well. Over here, a little bit more as well. It's still a bit wet, so it's mixing in with the other colors. You can already see the face coming out. I really compare to like carving. Like you start carving details out of the dark paint that you've placed. And this is the part of the painting where you take it easier. You're not going as fast as we were doing. Now you're taking your time to really pay attention to where things are located, and you're grabbing the paintbrush a bit tighter. And I love how wispy this bunny's hair is. Just like so carefree. Oh, I'm still paying attention to how the hair is falling. And I'll just kind of smear it down here so you just get the sense of the background, but still have a little bit of the paint. And my brush is now quite wet, dry, I mean. So you get these really nice dry brush strokes and appearances. It's really great. What a lovely little bunny. And it really pops with the dark background. Really comes alive. Okay. I need to let it dry a little bit, but now that I have the smaller brush, I can create more of the details around the bunny. So I'm grabbing still some of that aubergine color with the ochre, a little dollop of black, almost no black. Because there's some twigs here. And this way. Just doing a little bit of a squiggly line, nothing too perfect. So I'm quite zoomed into the picture so I can see all this detail. You can also use this color with a bit more black, I would say, to really give detail to the inner area of the yellow flowers. These are quite small to be sunflowers, but let's just say they're sunflowers. Sometimes you just need to put color down and then define things later, or even paint over things. Nothing needs to be perfect on the first try. If anything, it's recommended that it's not perfect because then it kind of loses personality. Okay, let me grab some of this. And now I'm paying more attention to the shape of the leaves and the little things that are there. Just waiting for the bunny to dry to add a bit more color to it. There's some gray that I want to add. And more orange. Let's see if I can add the orange. I want to tone it down with some white so it's not so vibrant.
Voy a hacer cookies y voy a limpiar todo.
Perdóname.
Voy a hacer cookies y voy a limpiar todo.
Hay de que me hagan desorden. I'm going to grab some of the okra and add that. I'm just really looking at the reference and trying to see where I see that color and also pay attention to how the hair is falling and mimic that motion with strokes of the paintbrush. Where I see that there's less of an intense amount of orange, I'm just putting a dab of color and then smearing it in that area. So it really plays and mixes in with the other colors that are already there. Now I'm going to make more of that lovely gray with orange and turquoise. Grab some white. It's like a greenish gray, which I absolutely love. I'm going to add some of that in here. That went a bit too far over. Grab an even smaller brush with some water to correct that. I don't want it too wet, just a little bit there. Some over here. Here I'm just tapping it in. It's looking quite nice. Now I see like a very light blue, almost white color in this area here. I don't have a lot of water on the paintbrush. Now my brush is very dry. And with the dry brush you get these really nice hair-like brush strokes. Also creating the whiskers, very lightly creating them. Okay, now I'm going to create the eye, and I'm going to grab the blue with just a little bit of black. As I said, I don't like using pure black. And some purple. Yeah, it's pretty. I'll create the highlight later in the eye. Here the nose. See if I can zoom in even more. Let's see, there. I'm very zoomed in. Just a bit too big. Gonna have to change paintbrushes. Because I want a very fine line. Let's see which one is the better one for that. I need to see which one I prefer. I think I'll do this one. Even though that one's not my favorite one. My favorite thin brush, if I can find it, which I can't. Maybe it's here. It's this one. It's a 0. This one is a 1. Let's do the 0. Twirl it in paint. Okay, so I'm going to grab some of the turquoise. It's not too much. Just a little bit. Add it to the white to create a highlight. Oh, again, that's going to be too big. Let me grab the other one. This one. Too much water. Twirl it in. And create that line. Too much on the tip. Always pay attention to how much paint you have on the tip, because you don't want too much. Grab just pure turquoise and add it into the white. We have the bunny. It needs a little bit more of the darker brown right here. Right here. Just a drop of water. Now I'm just looking at where there are those darker browns in the fur. It's very, very dry, so it creates that really nice strokes here. That was really nice. Alright, so now I will be using this one, it's a one, and adding some greens. Yeah, a little bit of turquoise. Yeah. It's fine. Around the Mr. Bunny. Just bigger strokes here. I'll also be adding the mother. Instead, whatever I do there, I do here as well. I love those really dry strokes. Squiggly lines. And some of the ombre is still available. Add some water to it. I think that was very pretty. Let's just add some pure yellow, no, minimal water. I'm not gonna say no, minimal water to create some nice petals. Be careful where you push your hand. And that, my friends, is our Easter bunny with sunflowers. All right, thank you so much for joining me to paint this cute little bunny. I would love to see your work, so please, if you post it online or you can send me an email, tag me at sissyprints on Instagram or Facebook, or you can email me sissyprints@gmail.com. So just wanted to let you guys know that if you live in France and you're English speaking or Spanish speaking, I will be holding a summer stage that will go for a whole week. There are spots for teenagers, adults, and children that already speak English or Spanish. And I will be creating more online classes. So subscribe to my newsletter and my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next time.